While we were talking about management, education, research, I'm obviously aware that not everybody who comes and joins us on the teaching track particularly has got a background in research as well, or a PhD. So doing management education research might require certain skills. Can you talk a little bit about the different tracks that we have and where you think that these skills are important, or how we can develop them? And
I mean, well, from a Surrey perspective, the two tracks that we have is we have a research track, which is the traditional kind of academic track, as from kind of junior lecturers through senior lecturer, through reader, through to professor, where pretty much all of the criteria for promotion are going to be research-based criteria. We will expect. We will expect excellence in the classroom. We will expect really, really good teaching practice. But the absolute make or break for a promotion through those kind of scales is going to be on the quality and the quantity of research outputs, on successes around research bids, on I think more and more around where your research might be having impact outside of the academic world. With our teaching track, we now kind of mirror that in many ways, with teaching fellow through senior teaching fellow and principal teaching fellow through to professorial teaching fellow. And I think the requirements change as you go through the scale. So the requirements certainly from teaching fellow into senior teaching fellow, the way that we would view it, certainly from a business school perspective, is that it's about development. It's not about simply managing a big program. It's not about keeping things in line and keeping things in order and making sure things tick along with no hitches, although we do want people to do that. It's very much about being able to point to programs, more so maybe than even modules, to say this is how this program has developed because of the work that I've done. As we then move through into principal teaching fellow and certainly into professorial teaching fellow, we expect that kind of a scholarly dimension to that, where we're expecting people to demonstrate that they have impact outside of their immediate context. You know, that could be impact at university level rather than school level, but I think more and more it's about impact outside of the university, across potentially other business schools, other universities, which can be demonstrated in a whole bunch of different ways. It can be demonstrated through winning national teaching fellowships, through progressing to principal fellow in the Higher Education Academy, but also through research and actually publishing really good management education research. And I absolutely expect, I'm a slightly different beast to many people, I think, because I started in my time at Surrey in the last 15 years, I started on the teaching track, I went over to the research track and then came back to the teaching track. But I appreciate people who've gone through the teaching track won't necessarily have the same level of experience around research. And I think management education research has got to be every bit as rigorous as management research or any other kind of research. So there is probably some significant staff development work to be doing there around how you train up researchers. So how we plug in, for example, here, our teaching fellows into our early career research and development programme that both happens at university level and the very specific one that we run for research in the school becomes really, really important. And it's a kind of twofold thing. It's one is that we as a school are committed to our teaching fellows, and our teaching fellows have a really good career path ahead of them, and we provide all of the environment that we can to make sure that teaching fellows who want to progress are able to progress. But also on the other side, it's teaching fellows recognising that it's not an easier. There's always been, I think, again, maybe another reason why management education research hasn't quite dragged traction. There's always been a sense that the teaching track is a slightly easier option. If you can't quite cut it as a researcher, then don't worry, you can always kind of shift into the teaching track. That, I think, very much is disappearing now. And it's very much recognising that if you are going to progress through the teaching track, it's a huge challenge, and a big part of that challenge is you making sure yourself as someone on that track is developing themselves and getting the right kind of staff development and taking responsibility.